Come on, Livingston. We're gonna go on and on and on. Together we can make it. We're gonna go on and on and on. Come on, Livingston.
Knocks it through. Mullen bursting into the box. Josh Mullen.
Together we can make it.
Mullen's ball across. It's turned in. It's Pittman who's got it. Livingston leads.
Road is long.
Now can they get the ball back in? O'Brien.
Lead! And Livingston have the lead.
Man, score.
If we march to
The full-time whistle blows and David Hayes celebrates. And the Livingston fans join in exultation.
come on, Livingston.
Livingston have the lead against Rangers, and they are certainly rising to a few occasions on their return to the top flight in Scotland.
Come on, Livingston. We're gonna
Hello and welcome back to TalkLivi, the podcast dedicated to everything Livingston Football Club and Scottish football. My name's Ewan and today it's just Andy that joins me as Callum was currently posted missing. And Callum Brown, now we're recording at 5 o'clock, has just woke up. I think he's had a busy life or something like that, and he was really tired because all the stuff he does during the week. Jesus. Anyway, Andy, how you doing?
He did mention that he was going on a 2-day bender, to be fair, toasting Scotty Robinson. So fair play to him for that. But he is a student, and what the students do, I've never been a student, Ewan. What the students do in their time during the week and at the weekend.
Not an awful lot. And I mean, he's in a tier 3 area. It's not like he can go to the pub. That's the only other thing I really did as a student. So it's not like he can really live the student lifestyle. So a 2-day bender in his dorm or whatever he lives in. I mean, that must be wild.
Poor the two Callums are getting it absolutely tight this week so far. Weekend's been good. Obviously, it helps with a good win. That's obviously 3 in a row. We'll come on to it in a wee while. But yeah, it makes the weekend all the more better, doesn't it?
It certainly does. As mentioned, it's a quick one this week as we'll take a look back at our first win in Perth against St Johnstone since 2007. And finally, we'll look ahead to our game during the week in the Betfred Cup and the quarter-final tie against Ross County at home.
It's 3 wins from 3 for interim manager David Martindale since taking over from Gary Holt. Now currently 7th in the league and in the last 8 of the Betfred Cup. This management malarkey seems to be quite easy. Not only 3 wins from 3, but breaking unwanted club records as well, as it was our first win against St Johnstone in Perth for 13 years on Saturday, as we left with a fantastic 2-1 win. Club on the up again, and it would seem all's going well just now, Ewan, doesn't it?
Yeah, we kind of touched on it. It was going to be a tough game. St Johnstone obviously on a very good run of form, 11 games unbeaten. And, away from home, our record's obviously not been great, but that's now 2 wins recorded on grass in the first half of the season. Uncharted territory for us in the top flight since we returned. So, yeah, but it was a really cagey first half. Not a lot in it. We had a kind of chance. Mullen put in an early cross. If Pittman makes contact, he's probably scoring. And then they had a header which kind of flicked the crossbar as well. I would say St Johnstone were probably edged it first half in terms of possession. I think, again, we touched it, they're changing style, very possession based, and you could see that. They did play a lot of nice stuff. But then, again, what we touched on before the game, they've only scored, 4 goals at home? Obviously with the one yesterday, and you can see why. There's a lot of passing, a lot of good kind of play on the ball, but there's a real lack of penetration in the kind of final third, and I think that suited us. We were able to kind of camp in, and we were trying to maybe play on the break a little bit first half, but it certainly livened up early doors. Second half, great delivery by Josh. We know he does that. Good header by Guthrie as well, kind of bit more instinctive, just kind of getting something on it, guiding it in the right direction. And it's it's gone into the corner. St Johnstone obviously replied pretty quickly, getting the goal. I have to say, I think Forrest and Serrano were at fault. Personally, they kind of both go to McNamara. Nobody tracks the run of Witherspoon for a kind of give and go. And Kane's got in front of Fitzwater at the front post and headed in. But big credit needs to go to Davy and Foxy. Tactical change. Obviously, we started before at the back, 4-2-3-1. I think we went and kind of matched St Johnstone up. We kind of went to almost a 3-4-2-1 with Mullen and Pittman playing in behind Robinson, and it worked almost instantly. Fitzwater does brilliantly to win the ball on the halfway line, putting pressure on, and Josh, really instinctive ball kind of round the corner over the top. And Robbo, it's a terrific finish, really composed finish. I do think Clark's made it quite easy for Robinson to make his mind up on what he was going to do with that. I think he's left that side of the goal gaping, but Robbo needs to spot that, and he's done really well, really calm finish, side foot. And to be honest, I don't think we ever really looked like conceding after that. I think we were really solid. Not a lot of chances from either side. Fitzwater had one saved, kind of from long throw from Brown. But other than that, it was a really tight game. A draw probably would have been a fairly fair result on the piece, but not going to complain with taking away 3 points. It's almost a kind of perfect away performance. You know, you defend your box very well and you take the chances when they come, and it's a great result, and the momentum carries on under David Martindale.
Yeah, I like how you went down the Michael Stewart penetration route there, Ewan. Good shout with that. Not everything you said is absolutely spot on. I think the most pleasing thing for me is how professional we were. You know, we took the lead, we obviously, and then we lose a goal so early on, and you're thinking, God, you know, key aspects to the game. You lose a goal, you get a goal, and then you lose one so quickly. It's a bit of a cardinal sin in football. But then, you know, we regrouped, we got back ahead, and then we showed how we should have done it the first time round. You know, we've seen the game out really well, and I felt like we were never under pressure after we went 2-1 up. In seasons previous, even this season, you know, when we've went ahead, we've lost leads and the game's kind of got away from us. Well, that didn't happen in the game, and we went on and won it, which was really pleasing. I think you're right. I think that Josh Millen caused them problems all day. With his delivery is something that we've been kind of screaming out for this season, as a delivery into the box, and it caused them no end of problems. I think the last time St Johnstone lost at home was against Celtic, which goes to show what a tough place it is to go to. Obviously, we found it extremely tough over the years, and we've went up there and came away with a fantastic 3 points. And, you know, it's a strange season, isn't it? Because we've went from being down in the dumps to, you know, things are going in the right direction again, to then having a bad run and losing Gary. And then Davies came in with one of the last 3, and we're now up to 7 for only a couple of points off the top 6. Albeit we're only 5 points off the bottom, which shows how tight it is. But, you know, football's a funny old game at times, and there's a long way to go and a lot of twists and turns. But if we keep going the way we're going and the momentum that we're showing, there's no reason why in a couple of weeks' time, we might be in the top 6 and in the semi-final with a national trophy. And, you know, no one's thinking about those bad times there in the season. We're all looking ahead and looking up the way.
Yeah, exactly. We've been touching on for weeks that this run of fixtures kind of November, December time was going to pretty much be season defining. And, you know, we lost the games at home to Motherwell, at home to St Mirren. So it was really essential that we got points in these sort of games. And our next couple, the league games as well, I think are going to be really important. Away at Hamilton, away at Killie. Because then we've got Aberdeen, Hibs. We have a home game against Ross County, and then we have a double header with Celtic, and then another game with Kilmarnock. So I think we've got a very tough January in store. So I think we've hit a bit of form probably at the right time. Hopefully to give ourselves a bit of a cushion instead of looking over our shoulders, maybe looking in front of us and seeing who we can catch instead. Kind of touching on the game yesterday, obviously mentioned the tactical change. We had Scott Tiffany come on at half time for Poplatnik. Obviously, Tiss had to come off. What a difference Robbo made, though, up front. What were your thoughts on Robbo?
Yeah, no, do you know, you've actually taken the words out of my mouth. I feel like Robbo come on and made such a difference. You know, I don't think Poplatnik done a lot wrong in the first half. He was getting very little service. I felt a little bit sorry for him. He was a bit isolated up top. Whether it was a tactical decision or whether it was whether he'd picked up a knock, we don't know. Tiffany came on and I was excited to see how he got on because he caused them no end of problems in the first game against St Johnstone, but obviously picking up a knock 5 minutes in. But you know what you're getting with Robinson. Obviously, we're big fans of Robbo on the podcast, and you know he's nippy up front. He'll do a job. He'll cause defenders problems. He'll not give them time on the ball, and that's exactly what you got for him. And I think the finish is underrated. I know what you're saying about the goalkeeper Clark. He did go down slightly early, but the balls came over his shoulder. A couple of bounces. It's still the ball. I think it's on the way up when he's taken the strike. And to control it the way he did and put it into the corner, it's a great finish and a great way of winning the game. I think he made a whole lot of difference to us and really epitomised everything that was good about us in that second half.
Yeah, I can't agree more. I think Robbo, as you say, you know what you get with him. You know, even later on when we're trying to see the game out, I'm taking the ball into the corner, keeping us up that end of the park. Little things like that. Robbo's just very clever at kind of winning throws, taking a bit of pressure off you. Despite his size, he always does a job when we need to play him up top in that position. And he made a real impact yesterday because he was running in behind. He was causing that issue for St Johnstone as well. And his movement was very good. And it, as I say, it caused their back three no end of problems. A bit like Tiffany did in the first game at Livi. But who would have been your stick-out man of the match? There's two or three that I think had really good performances yesterday.
I mean, and I think, again, Guthrie and Fitzwater were excellent in the centre defence. Obviously, Guthrie grabbing his goal. Fitzwater played a big part in the second goal. I thought Bartley, again, was very good in midfield. Sibbald as well. But for me, I think Josh Millen was probably the standout. I think, as I mentioned earlier, I think all day, even in the first half, the crosses into the box caused St Johnstone problem after problem with 2 assists in the game. And he was a big part of how we went on and won the game. I think there's a lot of standouts, but Josh Millen, I think, would probably just grab it for me, but very tight between him, Fitzwater and Guthrie, I think.
Yeah, I think both the centre-halves, obviously, Guthrie getting the goal, and as you mentioned, Fitzwater plays a massive part and starts the move off for the second goal, really, by putting pressure on in the middle of the park. I'm delighted to see Marv looks back to his best. Fair play to Callum Waugh. He mentioned it. It seems like he's got a bit more freedom to kind of stop attacks early doors by getting to roam a bit more around the pitch, and that was evident yesterday. There was one incident in the second half where St Johnstone looked like they're breaking down the right hand side, and Bartley's done a good sort of 20-yard sprint across to kind of put a block in and stop the play. Fitzwater, there was a really good block second half that he made from Kane when he looks like he's, you know, one-on-one almost. But I agree. I think Josh did cause a lot of problems, even though we were a bit restricted first half. Anytime we did look like we were going to cause an issue, it was through Josh on the right-hand side and his delivery. And as you said, you know, good delivery for the first, but the second, the ball, really underrated ball, really quick thinking by Josh to kind of put Robbo in behind. And I think Josh probably was the standout just, but not far ahead of the likes of Marv or Jack or John.
You know, you mentioned the ball. It actually takes me back to the ball that I think maybe Robbo played to Lyndon Dykes in the Celtic game when it was a kind of reverse pass, first time into Lyndon Dykes, and I think it was in the 2-0 win, which no one really talks about that first goal, but it was a great pass, sort of reverse pass, and almost the same, a blind pass by Josh in the game yesterday. Just quickly going back to the strikers then, Tiffany obviously coming on and then Robbo coming on. Was that a bit of a message for for David Martindale to Jet that he needs to buck up his ideas, do you think?
Well, I was thinking it watching the game. I think it shows you the type of striker that Davey's wanting. He's wanting someone that's mobile. He knows he'll put pressure on the defence and kind of work really hard up top. I think that's what you need in our team. You need a workman-like centre forward at times, and we always know that's Robbo will give you that. I think Poplatnik, we've seen the last couple of games prior to yesterday certainly that he has that in his locker, and I've been a big fan of Tiff's when he's played this year, and a couple of what I would say are some of our best performances. I think Tiff's been a massive part of that. I think it is a bit of a message to Jet, and that, you know, he's going to have to work harder if he wants to play as the number 9 in our team.
And it's good man management as well. So it's obviously 3 wins for free for Davey as interim manager. When does he get given the job?
Well, I know you'll be hoping he gets the job a lot sooner than anyone else, because you have a fair whack of money riding on this, Andy, I believe.
Yeah, we'll not go there. But yeah, we'll not go into that on the podcast. But yeah, to answer the question, surely it must be getting announced soon, whether there's some sort of red tape involved or whatever. But you know, he's now proven that he's capable of doing the job, and he's winning games. So it must be a when rather than an if, surely.
Yeah, I would love to see Davey get the job. Obviously, we've been kind of behind the scenes every so often doing the podcast, and we know how busy Davey is behind the scenes and how big a part he's played in the club getting to where they are just now. But it's clear to see that the players have responded to Davey. Look at the last 3 performances. It's looked like the team we come to expect week in, week out from ourselves. And it's obviously 3 wins on the bounce as well. So, and you know what, going to Wednesday night, we'll obviously touch on that game, but he gets a win, gets us to a cup semi-final. I don't see how you can't give him the job. I know I listened to John Ward's comments during the week, and they're not in a rush, which I totally understand. I think they mentioned they'll probably wait till kind of mid-January. He's been quite vocal about giving Davey the job, but I think he wants to explore every option possible and kind of what's best for the club. And I think he's confident in the fact that letting Davey kind of take the team in the interim anyway, until such time as they make that decision, which I'm comfortable with, because I trust Davey taking the team. He knows the club inside out, so I don't have any worries about the club taking their time. But I think Davey probably is the right man. As I say, knows the club inside out, and I think some of the doubters with Davey, I think, have been turned now off the back of the last 3 results.
Yeah, no, I think the other thing I wanted to ask about, obviously, Davey, is because we've not really spoke about on the podcast, was the article in the Guardian, just what was it, last week or the week before, by our favourite golf correspondent Ewan Murray, about obviously his past and how things have moved on. You've had a read at it. It was obviously a really good article. If you haven't read it, go and check it out. It's a really good piece. I don't say that lightly with Ewan Murray, because I'm not his biggest fan, but it was a really good piece, a really interesting piece about David Martindale. What was your thoughts on that?
Davey's honest about it. He's not shying away from his past. But in my eyes, the past is the past. You know, there's the criminal system is there for rehabilitation, and if you're going to block people being able to move on with their life after they've done their time, then really that doesn't justify the system, does it? For me, I can only really talk about the experiences I've had with Davey, and he's been top drawer with us on the podcast in terms of the access he's given us to players and stuff like that. But he does a ton of work behind the scenes that goes really unnoticed and under the radar for a lot of fans. You know, it can be obviously taking the team, but you know, we've seen him in the stands changing seats, up on cherry pickers, changing lights, you know, fitting bits in the reception when that got revamped. He does a tower of work behind the scenes, and he epitomises what the club is about, Davey. And you know, I'm glad the club gave him that chance, and he's worked his way up from volunteering under John McGlynn to to the point now where he looks like he could get the top job as manager. And again, I wouldn't stand against him with that. But folk are going to have their opinions. Obviously, that's the way football is. But for me, we've given folk chances in the past. Alan Lithgow, Declan Gallagher, and they've repaid the club tenfold with what they've been able to give the club in return. So I have no issues with Davies past personally, because it's 16 years ago. He's done the time. For me, move on and let him move on with his life as well.
Yeah, hear you, and I think you've nailed it spot on there. We'll move on for there, obviously, but a fantastic win against St Johnstone, moving up in the league. Hopefully Wednesday night we'll be in a cup semi-final as well. Things just keep getting better and better at the club all of a sudden.
Finally, this week, we're going to take a look at our next opponents. It's a home game on Wednesday night in the quarterfinals of the Betfred Cup against Ross County. We've never made it to the semi-finals of one of the major cup competitions since 2006, and this represents our best chance for a number of years. A win here would be a real catalyst for the season and gets the fans looking forward, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I think, do you know something? This is, we've been talking about the league campaign being a bit of a downer. It's now on the way up again, but I think this is a game that all the fans are probably really looking forward to and are really excited about. It's not just your typical Livingston versus Ross County. This is a cup quarter final at home with a chance to hopefully, if things keep improving with the COVID situation, get us to Hampden and get fans into Hampden. Following Livingston, it's not every day that following Livingston we get a chance to go to a cup semi-final, and who knows, possibly onwards even further. I think it's really heartening to see the players and the management talking the game up as well. After the St Johnstone game, there was a few questions asked about the midweek game, and they were obviously all talking up and how much they were looking forward to it as well. I think that's really heartening. And a lot of people look at the League Cup as being the sort of secondary of the league and Scottish Cup, but as I mentioned, for a club like ourselves, it's not every day you get a home tie against a team that's struggling in the league to get through to the semi-final. And I think we've really got to hit it home to the players how important it is. Not obviously, it's a competition you want to do well in and you want to go and win, but financially it's beneficial as well to go and win the game. I think, I can't remember who it was, but a manager mentioned earlier in the rounds how important, I think it might have been Kerr actually against Ayr United, that he mentioned that it was an opportunity missed for them against us because financially it would have been beneficial to the club. So that can't be forgotten about, but obviously competitively it's a great opportunity to get the fans, get the community on side and get everybody excited for a cup semi-final. Obviously Ross County will be thinking exactly the same thing, and we can't take them lightly at all. But we're at home, we're in the driving seat, we've got momentum, we go into it with confidence, and I think it's a really, really big game, a really important game for the club.
Yeah, I kind of echo your thoughts, Andy. It's, as you say, I mean, you'd forgotten that we had that dismal semi-final against Dunfermline before we started recording, kind of back in 2006 under Paul Lambert. But that came in a struggling season. It was kind of a ray of hope, but wasn't to be. But yeah, it's a massive opportunity for the club. Obviously, last year we got to the quarterfinals and you draw Rangers. It's always going to be a tough ask to beat one of the old firm en route, but there'll come a point where you're likely going to have to play one of them. But I think we've been lucky with the draw. Ross County, yes, they beat Celtic, but their league form's been pretty dire, to say the least. Obviously, they picked up a point against us, but I don't think they've picked up much else in recent weeks. Their defence, they're leaking quite a lot of goals as well. So it's a massive opportunity for Livi to get to a cup semi-final. And as you say, it's been to put it bluntly, it's been a shite year for the majority of folk, and it would give fans something to look forward to in the new year. And who knows, if there's the opportunity to get fans back in the ground, with it being at Hampden as well, there might be the chance for some of our fans to get to watch us in a semi-final, which would be massive for the fans and the club. financial aspect. I mentioned that when we got into even the last 16, every round that we get through is financially beneficial to the club as well. So it's going to be massive. Gary Holt touched on it a couple of seasons ago when we spoke to him, that you don't get the opportunity to play in quarterfinals, semi-finals. A lot of players don't get that chance very often. So as you say, it's good to hear the players talking it up. Good to hear Davey talking it up. That it's massive for the club to potentially get to a semi-final at Hampden. So obviously looking at Ross County, they lost 2-0 to Aberdeen at the weekend off the back of a 4-0 defeat to Rangers as well. Are they dangerous for the fact that it gives them a bit of a distraction from their league form? Obviously, they've just fell to the bottom of the table. Is that the danger that you've got with Ross County?
It's a difficult one with Ross County because, you know, you look at their squad and they have players that can hurt you, you know, and watching back at the highlights against Aberdeen, you know, they had 2 or 3 really good chances to obviously get back in the game at 1-0. I think Ross Stewart missed a great opportunity to get back level, and then you just don't know. You know, you could almost make that comparison with us, you know, during our sort of tough spell. You know, they were conceding sloppy goals and not finishing chances, and it's almost a mirror image of what was happening with us. I think it's undoubtedly that they've got players that are capable of causing problems, you know, Ross Stewart, Brad Mackay, but they've also got players who we can get at, you know, Col Donaldson. We know all about Col Donaldson. There's a mistake in there, you know, and the way we're playing and pressing the ball all of a sudden, because what a difference from 3 weeks ago in terms of our high press. You know, we're doing it as a team again, and we're causing problems and we're forcing mistakes, and it's something we can really capitalise on against Ross County, I feel, because defensively they aren't great. I think they've got the second worst defence in the league. Obviously, this is a cup game, and it's a one-off, but you've got to look at the form across the league campaign, and it's the second worst defence. I think only Hamilton have got worse, and they're not scoring many goals. I think they're maybe the second or third lowest scorers in the league as well, and their last win was St Johnstone away back in September, so it's almost 2.5 months since they last won a game. So, you know, all these point to positive chances for us, but obviously we need to go into it and take it seriously and not disrespect our opponents, because they have undoubtedly got players that will hurt us. But I think if we show up and we perform the way we have been performing, then the result is there for us to take.
The last game up at Ross County, we cried out to get Josh Mullen in, point to prove against his old club. Obviously, Josh has come back in since Davy's taken interim charge. Do you reckon it's a big game for him to prove a bit of a point and put a marker down, show the management what they're missing?
Yeah, well, I'm still amazed that Ross County let him go, to be honest. And I think a lot of the Ross County fans are in the same boat. They're very confused in terms of why they let him go, especially when you look at Ross County and their goal scoring. You know, someone like Josh Mullen's going to create goals. He's going to put balls into the sort of the melting pot and, you know, cause problems for defences. And I find it amazing that they let him go. Their loss is obviously our gain, and it's undoubtedly something that he'll go into. You know, all of a sudden he's found himself in the team since Davy's taken over. He's played in all 3 games that he's been involved in, and obviously he's made a difference, especially the game at the weekend there. So he'll be going into it with confidence and without a doubt something to prove. And as you say, I think a lot of what Ross County's problems are is down the sides, and a lot of where we are strong is down the sides. You know, Devlin and Mullen, I think, will cause them a lot of problems. I think Forrest and Serrano, if they play, will cause them lots of problems. There's a lot of potential for us to get down the sides, get balls into the box, and it's whether we can get on to the end of them and take our chances. You know, if we create chances and take them, I think there's no question we'll be in the semi-final.
Talking about getting on the end of these crosses then, obviously we might have a bit of a dilemma with our number 9. Poplatnik coming off, we don't know if it was a knock or tactical. Tiff's obviously coming off with an injury, so I doubt he'll feature. Is it the opportunity for Robbo to start up top? Do you see it?
Yeah, Robbo's one that I would consider. Obviously, I think I would stick with Poplatnik if he's fit. I think, you know, it helps that we've not got a game at the weekend. Obviously, I was going to come on to that the way the scheduling's worked, that we're quite fortunate that Celtic are obviously in the Scottish Cup final playing, so we've got a free weekend, so we can look at this game almost as our Saturday game. You know, we can go into it with a full team. Sometimes when we've got midweek, we'll tend to rotate. I don't think we'll need to rotate in this one because we'll have a week before our next league game, which is again a massive game against Hamilton, don't get me wrong, but it's a week on Wednesday. So it gives us potential to line up on Wednesday with almost our strongest side. So for me, sort of going back to your question, I think if Poblatnik's fit, I think he starts. But obviously the follow-up to that is if he's not, I think it's between Robbo and Jet, and I think Robbo has proven on Saturday that he's more busy, he's more of a pest, and he suits our style of play better. So if Poblatnik's not fit, I think Robbo's a certainty in there.
Yeah, I agree. I think I've been impressed with Poblatnik since he came into the team. As you say, yesterday he didn't get a great deal of service and kind of bodies in and around him to help, but we saw the impact that Robbo made. So I would see it. I think it's a toss-up between the two. Just depends who's fit, but I'd be confident going into the game if Robbo plays up top. So talking about other dangers that Ross County have got, the one that always gets brought up is Ross Stewart, but I was watching Sports Scene and he's not scored a goal from open play since I think it was the second game of the season, or he's not scored a goal from open play all season. His last goal was a penalty. What other threats do you think Ross County have in their team?
Well, I think, the game up in Dingwall, I think the lad Stephen Kelly caused us a few problems. I think on loan for Rangers, I think he caused us a few problems and was arguably the best player in the park that night. They've just signed the boy Jason Naismith. I'm not sure in terms of what fitness he's in. He's certainly not cup tied because he's been playing down south, but he's a decent signing. I think Hibs were after him and he's chose Ross County, so he's definitely a good signing. I think our only threat from Ross County is set pieces. So if we can limit the number of set pieces we give away around about our box, I think we'll be absolutely fine. You see that they're seldom not scoring a lot of goals from open play. So if we can limit the number of crosses into the box, corners, free kicks, I think we'll be fine. I think it's all down to how we defend our box. If we defend it properly, which we have been doing over the last 3 or 4 weeks, then we've got every opportunity to then take the game to them. I think it's a game we need to dictate. We're at home. We need to dictate the pace, and sometimes notoriously we're not very good at that. It might suit Ross County for them to sit in and try and hit us on the break, but I think we're a different animal all of a sudden. As I said, our pressing game's much better. We're quicker on the ball. We're causing teams problems again. And I think the ball's in our court to go and take the game to them and go and win the cup tie.
Yeah, I think if we defend in the manner we have in the last 3 games in terms of limiting the chances, obviously we've touched on it, Ross County are really struggling for goals, especially in open play. I can't see too many threats, and I feel we're still creating opportunities. I think we look more like ourselves, kind of all over the park, and I'm really confident. I'm really confident going into this game because I think the way that the players and the management are talking about it, I think they're properly up for it. They see it as a massive opportunity for the club to progress in the cup. So we'll get on to predictions then. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I don't know why you come to me for predictions. I'm clearly not very good at it. But I'll give you one. Again, I'll reiterate what you've been saying. I think everything points to us taking the game to them and really going and trying and winning the cup tie. I think the players are motivated, the management's motivated. I think they're well aware of how big a game it is for the club. So I think we'll go into it with confidence as well, obviously, after the last 3 games. So I'm going to go 2-0 Livingston, and hope we do the business. Hope I'm right for a change.
Yeah, well, I've just been knocked off the top of the table. Callum was correct score for St Johnstone, so that's 2 on the bounce. He's got correct scores, so he's caught me up and gone ahead of me. But I'm the same as you, Andy. I'm going 2-0. I think, as I say, we've improved massively defensively the last 3 games. They're not scoring a lot of goals. I I just think we're going to be bang up for this game, and I fancy us to win 2-0 fairly comfortably.
I hope we're right. It would be a fantastic achievement for us, as we mentioned earlier. You know, for a club like Livingston to be 90 minutes away for a League Cup semi-final at Hampden, and you know, you just never know once you get to the latter rounds. It might just be our year, and you know, it's a big game. The players are up for it. I'm sure the fans will be right behind the team. Let's make it 4 in a row for David Martindale and for Livingston. That's it for this episode of TalkLivi. Thanks to everyone who continues to tune into our weekly ramblings. Let us know what you think of our latest episode by leaving us a review on iTunes, or simply by commenting on Facebook or Twitter.
Talking of social media, we are on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. Search TalkLivi to find us and all the links to our episodes. You can also find all our episodes, including this one, on all good podcast streaming sites, including iTunes and Spotify. We're also on YouTube, so don't forget to subscribe to the channel. If none of those options suit you, all you have to do is head to our website, talklivipodcast.libsyn.com, where you'll find every single episode we have done over the last few years.
Just a quick one this week, but obviously thanks again to everyone for listening and tuning in. But for now, from you and myself, we hope you have a fantastic week, and we hope to see you in the semi-final of the League Cup.
Chant